Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Crime Time. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I have a story for you guys today. I want to talk about a story that happened a day or two ago in Oklahoma. Oklahoma executes death row inmate Anthony Sanchez. That's what we're going to be talking about for the 1996 murder. So let's talk about it. Sanchez was sentenced to death after being convicted of the 1996 murder of University of Oklahoma student Julie Buskin, who was a 21-year-old ballerina. So McAllister, Oklahoma. If you're not sure about McAllister, Oklahoma, McAllister has the death penalty. Oklahoma executed death row inmate Anthony Sanchez on Thursday. So yesterday at the state penitentiary in McAllister. Sanchez was sentenced to death after being convicted of 1996 murder of University of Oklahoma student Julie Buskin, who was a 21-year-old ballerina. Buskin was abducted, sexually assaulted, bound, and shot in the head. Her body was found at a Lake Stanley Draper. Sanchez, 44, was pronounced dead at 10:19 a.m. Thursday. Oklahoma Department of Corrections officials said Buskin's family did not attend the execution. Who would? Justice was served today for Julie Buskin. Nearly 27 years after her life tragically was taken, Oklahoma Attorney General Gentner Junman said in a news release, "My hope is that today could bring some measure of peace to her family and friends." Witnesses reported that Sanchez's last words were that he was innocent and that he did not kill anyone. He added that his attorney were the worst lawyers in the state of Oklahoma and that he's sorry to whoever has them as lawyers. Sanchez became a suspect in Buskin's murder 8 years after she was killed. A bullet, DNA evidence, a footprint, and a sketch of the suspect convicted the jury of his guilt. The Oklahoma death row inmate has always maintained his innocence and said the DNA evidence was flawed, but he did not request clemency this past summer. He felt like it was going to be fair. Sanchez spiritually advisor, the Rev. Jeff Hood, said he would rather die standing for his innocence than begging for clemency on his knees. At one point, Sanchez suggested that his father may have been the killer. Sanchez said he wanted to give the Buskin family peace. It's clear. He clearly said if that is what makes them happy or gives them closure, that he is perfectly content with dying. It said. The Oklahoma Supreme Court denied Sanchez's request to pause his execution, and he was executed. So I'm going to put on a news video if I can find it. If I can find it.
First step forward, the state of Oklahoma has executed a man who kidnapped, raped, and murdered a 21-year-old University of Oklahoma student in 1996. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tatum Gwen.
And I'm Jonathan Cooper. Anthony Sanchez had been on death row for nearly 20 years after he killed OU ballerina Julie Buskin. News 6's Rain Ledbetter has the details on today's execution at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. Today's execution started a few minutes late because the Department of Corrections staff was waiting on a last-minute decision from the U.S. Supreme Court. In Anthony Sanchez's final words, he said he was innocent and didn't kill anybody. He thanked his supporters and said his lawyers were the worst ever in the state of Oklahoma. Prosecutors say Sanchez kidnapped Julie Buskin from her Norman apartment in 1996, forced her into a car, then drove her to Lake Stanley Draper, where Sanchez raped her and shot her in the back of the head. Cleveland County prosecutors say there was circumstantial evidence tying Sanchez to the brutal crime, but the smoking gun was Sanchez's DNA on Buskin's clothes. Sanchez challenged his conviction back in April, saying that his father admitted to killing Buskin before his father committed suicide last year. Sanchez had been on death row for 17 years. Witnesses to the execution say the process started at 10:08. Sanchez was declared unconscious by doctors at 10:14 and pronounced dead at 10:19. Sanchez's spiritual advisor, Reverend Jeff Hood, was in the chamber with him, and Sanchez's aunt was in the viewing area, and her and Sanchez waved at each other during the execution. Attorney General Gettner Drummond and his staff also attended the execution and says he has talked to Julie Buskin's family several times leading up to today.
On their behalf, I visited with them numerous times since in the last 9 months, before the execution and after the execution. They want me to convey their deepest regard to the Department of Corrections for their excellence in all manners, and to the Attorney General's Office Victims Services. Julie was murdered 26 years, 9 months, and 1 day ago. And the family has found closure and peace.
Philip Hancock is the next death row prisoner set to be executed. Hancock killed 2 men back in 2001. That execution is scheduled for November 30th and will be the last execution of this year. In McAllister.
Okay, I will be doing that video too on November, so stay tuned for that video on this content channel. But there's a lot of men and women who are, well, men particularly, who are executed for crimes they never commit. I don't know. I believe he did do it if his DNA was found. Sometimes when you kill a person and your DNA is found on the evidence, they try to pinpoint it on the next person. I don't know. Something. I mean, if your DNA was on it, I don't know.
Megan Ledbetter, Oklahoma's own, News on 6.
All right, that's going to be the end of this video. Tell me what you think about it in the comments below. Have a great night. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Peace. And that is the